Top 10 underrated reincarnation anime where the MC is the strongest. Kicking off with number 10, Skeleton Knight in Another World. Ark wakes up in his favorite RPG, but plot twist, he's a skeleton. Imagine checking the mirror in a fantasy world and realizing you're one spooky jump scare away from traumatizing villagers. Yet beneath that skull helmet, Ark's wholesome to the core. He saves kidnapped girls, protects innocents, and crushes enemies like paper mache. What makes Ark fascinating is his moral compass never wavers despite his terrifying appearance. While other Isekai protagonists get drunk on power, Ark spends half his time apologizing for existing and the other half accidentally becoming a legend. The dude literally wears a full suit of armor 24/7 because he's considerate enough to not traumatize random NPCs with his skeletal grin. People compare it to Overlord, but Ark isn't trying to rule. He's trying not to make peasants faint every time he smiles. That's underrated comedy gold. The fight scenes hit different when your protagonist looks like the final boss, but fights like a superhero. Sure, the world building doesn't reinvent the wheel, but watching a skeleton knight balance fearsome monster energy with helpful dad-friend vibes makes this show oddly refreshing. Ark is proof that you can be terrifying and still hand out kindness like free Wi-Fi. Sliding to number 9, Tsukimichi, Moonlit Fantasy. Makoto gets summoned by a goddess, and she immediately hits him with, "You're ugly, get lost." Bruh, harsh. Talk about divine rejection that would make anyone question their self-worth. But Makoto, he takes that cosmic burn and turns it into fuel for greatness. Tossed aside like an unwanted free trial, Makoto doesn't sulk. He builds his own world with insane magic that makes other heroes look like they're casting with training wheels, a dragon waifu who could solo entire armies, and a spider queen sidekick who's basically nightmare fuel with loyalty. He's running an HR nightmare of overpowered employees. The workplace dynamics alone could fuel a sitcom. The fights? Cinematic chaos that puts most shonen to shame. The comedy? Sharper than Ristate's screaming incautious hero. And Makoto's personality? Low-key relatable, awkward, humble, but still flexing enough power to make other heroes cry in the corner. His social anxiety mixed with god-tier abilities creates this beautiful contradiction, where he's simultaneously the most powerful and most relatable character in the genre. Tsukimichi's biggest crime is flying under radars when it should be memed non-stop. Like, this isekai is what happens if the goddess swiped left, and the MC said, "Fine, I'll build Tinder 2.0 with dragons instead." The world building is surprisingly deep, and Makoto's journey from rejected hero to dimensional merchant king is pure satisfaction. Landing on number 8, Wise Man's Grandchild. Shin Wolford is that student who ruins the grading curve for everyone. Raised by a legendary wizard grandfather who apparently never heard of starting slow, Shin casually invents magical nukes while his classmates are still learning Fireball 101. It's like watching someone show up to a spelling bee with a PhD in linguistics. The romance subplot? Corny enough to feed a stable, but hey, it's wholesome corn. Critics clown this series for being predictable, but it's basically anime comfort food. You know exactly what you're getting, and sometimes that's perfect. Shin makes everything look easy, which is kind of the point. It's not about tension or struggle. It's about flexing magic so absurd even Full Metal Alchemist would file a complaint about scientific accuracy. What's endearing is Shin's complete lack of awareness about how broken he is. He genuinely thinks everyone can create nuclear-level magic with enough practice, leading to hilarious moments where his friends stare in horror while he casually suggests they just add more mana. The school setting adds this weird slice-of-life energy to what should be a world-ending power fantasy. Watching Shin casually dismantle threats while his friends react like, "Sir, that's illegal in 17 countries," is endlessly funny. Underrated? Absolutely. It's chaotic, messy, and shameless, but sometimes that's exactly what an anime binge needs. Plus, the animation budget clearly went all in on making those magical explosions look gorgeous. Looking at number 7, Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody. Satu is a programmer who dies from overtime, the most realistic isekai death condition, and wakes up with cheat-level stats that would make speedrunners weep with envy. He basically gets isekai'd and immediately hits God mode, but then does something unprecedented. He uses it responsibly. Here's the twist. He doesn't go full conquest villain or edgelord protagonist, he goes full tourist. Instead of sweating boss battles or building harems, he's chilling, sightseeing, trying local food that would make Gordon Ramsay jealous, and collecting companions like Pokemon cards. Satu's biggest flex, dropping apocalyptic spells casually, like, "Oops, I erased that ancient dragon, guess we'll try some soup now." The supporting cast of rescued girls could have been generic, but each brings genuine personality and skills beyond just being cute. Watching Satu navigate being everyone's overpowered dad while trying to maintain his cover as a normal adventurer creates constant comedy. His internal monologue reads like a debugging session. Error 404, normal power level not found. Critics say it's slow, but the laid-back vibe is its charm. Not every isekai has to be Blood War 3000 with constant escalation. Sometimes it's about living your best fantasy vacation while still nuking monsters just to keep the peace. Satu is proof you can be OP and a foodie influencer at the same time. Dropping in at number 6, the 8th son. Are you kidding me? Shingo dies and wakes up as Wendelin, the 8th son of a broke noble family. 8th son. Bro didn't even get hand-me-down armor. He got hand-me-down disappointment. In noble inheritance terms, being the 8th son is like being picked last for dodgeball by your own family. But Wendelin's magical talent skyrockets faster than crypto prices in 2021. And suddenly he's flexing harder than his rich, greedy relatives can handle. The family drama? Peak roast material. Every family dinner becomes a battlefield of passive-aggressive comments and thinly veiled jealousy. Nobles keep plotting, underestimating him, then choking on their own pride when Wendelin outclasses everyone with spells so flashy they should come with sunglasses and a seizure warning. What makes this satisfying is the slow-burn revenge against a system designed to crush him. Wendelin doesn't just get powerful, he systematically dismantles every assumption about birth order and inherited worth. The political intrigue gets surprisingly deep, with marriage proposals, territorial disputes, and assassination attempts all handled with the casual energy of someone checking their email. The pacing drags sometimes, but watching Wendelin rise from poverty to magical celebrity is pure satisfaction. It's the kind of glow-up story where you just sit there with popcorn thinking, yes, humiliate those freeloaders. This anime proves the 8th son can roast 7 siblings and the entire nobility system while sipping tea. Rolling to number 5. Cautious hero. The hero is overpowered, but overly cautious. Seiya Ryuguin is the king of paranoia, and honestly, we should all aspire to his level of preparation. Goblin? Better nuke it 10 times just in case it has a resurrection spell. Training? Better train after training so the training's properly trained. Dude prepares harder than Batman on a caffeine and anxiety medication cocktail. Restarte, the goddess stuck babysitting him, is a goldmine of comedy. Her mental breakdowns every 5 minutes are basically all of us watching anime plot twists unfold. Her exasperated reactions to Seiya's extreme methods create this perfect comedy duo where she's the straight man to his calculated insanity. The voice acting sells every moment of her descent into goddess-level frustration. But here's where it gets genius. Under all the slapstick is an emotional gut-punch twist that redefines Seiya's caution completely. Suddenly his paranoia makes perfect sense, and it hits harder than a truck-kun collision. The show masterfully balances absurd comedy with genuine trauma, creating moments that will have you laughing 1 minute and tearing up the next. It's rare for parody anime to blend absurd comedy with genuine feels, but Cautious Hero nails it perfectly. Seiya isn't just OP, he's a walking lesson in trauma response, preparation, and how to make goblins extinct with mathematical precision and emotional baggage. The final episodes elevate this from comedy to genuine storytelling masterpiece. Gliding in at number 4, Seirei Gensuki, Spirit Chronicles. Haruto dies, wakes up as Ryo, and his life is basically a tragic shonen mixtape with all the hits: abandonment, betrayal, revenge, poverty, discrimination, and a side of, why does everyone hate me? But Ryo's magic? Insanely busted, like reality-bending cheat codes busted. He goes from bullied underdog to don't blink or you'll miss the flex in a character development arc that spans multiple kingdoms and emotional breakdowns. The story isn't your light-hearted isekai joyride. It's darker, heavier, and way more emotionally complex. Rio carries actual trauma that affects his decisions, relationships, and combat style. Yes, the pacing jumps around like it drank 3 Red Bulls and discovered time travel, but Rio's growth keeps everything grounded. His relationships with other characters feel earned rather than handed to him by protagonist privilege. When he finally unleashes his full strength, the payoff is absolutely glorious, like watching years of suppressed power explode in technicolor destruction. This isn't just about being overpowered, it's about carrying scars while still choosing to rise stronger. Rio's journey through multiple social classes, kingdoms, and magical schools creates this epic scope that most isekai never attempt. If other isekai are fantasy theme parks, Spirit Chronicles is the haunted house, gritty, moody, emotionally complex, and way more impactful than people give it credit for. Crashing at number 3, Knights and Magic. Anesti Echevarria Eru to his friends was a hardcore mecha nerd in his past life who probably had Gundam model kits arranged by series and release date. He dies, reincarnates, and says, "Cool, I'll just build Gundams in this magic world." And he actually does it because apparently combining programming knowledge with fantasy magic breaks every game balance imaginable. Eru's blend of programming skills and magical innovation doesn't just break the game, it rewrites the entire operating system. While other nobles are struggling to pilot clunky robots that move like arthritic elephants, Eru's designing sleek murder machines that make Transformers look like antique toys. His mechs don't just fight, they dance through battles with efficiency that would make engineers weep. What makes it so infectiously fun is his pure, unfiltered passion. Eru isn't just flexing power or building a harem, he's geeking out like a fanboy who got a blank check from God and a magic workshop. His enthusiasm for mecha design is so genuine and contagious that you'll find yourself invested in magical robot specifications. The battles are absolutely insane, with mecha combat that rivals any dedicated mecha anime. The mechs themselves are gorgeously designed, and the energy is completely contagious. Underrated? Absolutely. This is isekai, mecha, and passion project wish fulfillment all rolled into one giant robot suplex that somehow works perfectly. Stepping up to number 2 in the land of Leedale. Kana was stuck in a hospital bed, tethered to life support before dying, then reincarnates in her old VR game world. Now she's an overpowered elf adventurer who could casually end civilizations with a sneeze, but instead spends her time bonding with NPCs turned children and learning to cook fantasy meals. The charm here is perfect balance, comedy that lands without trying too hard, wholesomeness that doesn't feel forced, and occasional flexes of absurd strength that remind you she's basically a walking natural disaster with maternal instincts. Watching Kana bounce between cozy slice-of-life antics and god-tier magic battles creates this oddly comforting viewing experience. Her relationship with the NPCs she created, now living beings with their own personalities and problems, adds unexpected emotional depth. She's essentially dealing with empty nest syndrome in reverse. Her children are now adults running kingdoms and guilds, but she's still their overpowered mom who brings care packages. Sometimes the pacing is deliberately slow, but that's the entire point. It feels like a genuine second chance at life without the edgy revenge arc against God subplot. Leedale is less about dominance and more about connection, family, and finding purpose beyond power. Still, when Kana gets serious and drops the mom act, the earth literally shakes. It's like Overlord, but with hugs, home cooking, and occasional world-ending spells thrown in for flavour. And finally, number 1, by the grace of the gods. Ryoma dies from overwork and loneliness, probably the most tragically realistic isekai setup, gets a new life, and instead of waging war or starting revenge quests against those who wronged him, he raises slimes. Yes, slimes. Those lowest tier RPG enemies that everyone uses for grinding experience points. But don't laugh too hard at the slime daycare concept. These slimes are trained, evolved, and optimized like Ryoma's running the most efficient Pokemon gym in the multiverse. He's got cleaning slimes, combat slimes, healing slimes, and probably tax preparation slimes if the need arises. It's like he turned the most basic RPG enemy into a Swiss Army knife of usefulness. Underneath the wholesome slime daycare operation, Ryoma's stupidly powerful. He's got divine blessings from multiple gods that make him basically untouchable. But instead of flexing non-stop or conquering kingdoms, he builds laundry businesses, takes care of villagers, solves practical problems, and lives the ultimate stress-free life. His greatest ambition is running a successful cleaning service. That's what makes it absolutely brilliant. It's an OP fantasy that says, what if being strong meant you could finally relax? Instead of constant escalation and power struggles, it's about using overwhelming strength to create peace, stability, and the kind of life most people actually want. It's not high-stakes drama, but it's cozy escapism at its absolute finest. The supporting characters aren't just quest givers or romance options. They're genuinely good people who appreciate Ryoma for his kindness rather than his power. Watching him slowly open up to friendship and family after a lifetime of loneliness hits different than typical power fantasies. Honestly, this anime is criminally underrated. Who knew slime farming could be so emotionally satisfying and addictive? It's proof that sometimes the best power fantasy isn't about dominating others. It's about having enough strength to protect the simple happiness you've built. And that's the lineup. 10 underrated reincarnation anime where the MC isn't just strong, they're disgustingly overpowered. Some go for chaos, some for comedy, some for wholesomeness, but they all bring heat. Which one's your favourite hidden gem? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and subscribe for more anime breakdowns. Until next time, stay overpowered, anime family.